Well, I don't know that I can really take credit for that because in 2003, in my Quaker meeting, I heard that there would be a work camp to build a vocational school for AIDS orphans in July. And I was a teacher and I could go in July and I wanted to go. And so I went with a member of my Quaker meeting who had the backing of African Great Lakes Initiative. And so they put together a work camp of 8 people and we went to this little village and worked at building a vocational school for AIDS orphans. And I was inspired. I was positively blown away, use that term, by what I saw there. That these villagers that lived so simply in mud huts and cooked over the fire and 3 stones holding a pot. And I loved them and they loved us and we were able to help. And so that was the inspiration. I went as a work camper and I went in 2003 and then the bunch of us, a number of us were so inspired we kept going and got the school up and running in 2006. And then things weren't going so well. So I'd gone every summer and in 2007 I moved over there and to check in on things and I planned to stay a year and stayed 5 years. And I loved it and I still love it. I mean, it's unrecognizable. So we built the school and we had a school and then and separately we had the orphans program. Now we've got them all under one umbrella. The school now has over 200 students and the orphans program has 72 orphans. It's completely changed. It's much better organized and set up. There's so many, I hardly know who to choose, but I think I would think of Bulali Doreen. So when I was living there after 2007, I heard about a family that had, I think they were in our orphans program, I'm not sure, but the mother had died. The mother had died in childbirth. And the father was left with 4 children, and one was very small, and one was about 5 years old, Bulali Doreen, and there was a granny. So I went around to visit, and I have a picture. I can picture it in my head. Anyway, the father was a drunk, was a recognized drunk, and he was unable to get his wife to the hospital because she was bleeding, but he didn't have it together. So she died and he's left with these 5 kids and he's incapable. And the granny is there and she is capable, but how's she going to manage? Anyway, we took Bulali Doreen in and we've had Bulali Doreen and now she's a student in tailoring at our school. And she's young and strong and well, and she likes it, and she's got a future. And the other thing I have to just add is Martha, our social worker, has played a role because what often happens with girls like Bulali Doreen in the village is they go off and get pregnant, and then their whole life is changed. But Martha recognized that this might happen and got her on contraceptives. And so she's not got pregnant and she's doing well and she has a future. So it's wonderful. So I think that's one story of many I could tell. I think the community is impressed and grateful that they have a functioning, successful vocational school in their community and that we're bringing many outside students into Bududa to study with us. I know the town council is impressed with us and proud. I think our biggest accomplishment in the past year is getting ready to open the Department of Agriculture in 2025. So that's because of a grant from the Pincus Family Foundation, and they given us half the grant this year. We've bought the land, we've fenced the land, we've prepared the land, and we've got everything set up so that we can open a Department of Agriculture in January. And we're excited about that and have students already applying. So that's what I think is our biggest accomplishment. Well, what I have to think of first is that our motto is skills for jobs. So we're giving these students skills and they get jobs. We did an interview, probably not recently enough, but we checked a couple of years ago with all the students that had graduated. We found 97% of the students had jobs or were self-employed. The others might be furthering education. So they were all getting jobs. That's huge. You know, if we can, the jobs may be, and in many cases are, a tailor setting up a little tiny booth or having a sewing machine just on the sidewalk kind of, and taking in mending or making dresses for people and building her little industry up. And we have examples of students who've done that really well and are now really happy they can pay school fees for their children and their brothers' children. And so, yeah, it's all good. Well, they're poor. They live very simply. They're poor. They don't have any extra money. So, and they have large families. So many of them really would like their children to come to our school, but they can't afford it. And even though our fees are very small, it's still tough for them. But if they can find a way to get a child into our school, they can have a revenue source. They can have somebody who's making a living and may be able to bring back money for them. So it's all good. And mostly they send money back for their families. So it's definitely it's bringing money back to the community. Well, I just hope it's going to get bigger and better. I'm hoping that we can find some income generating activities for them so that they can bring in money for themselves for the school. Um, I just hope that we bring in more outside students, and because we have room in our hostels, certainly the boys' hostel anyway, and that we do better and better. I'm just expecting it to be bigger and better and go along on the same track as we're going on. And that's what I'm hoping. Obviously, my hope is that they're all going to get jobs. They're either going to get jobs or they're going to be self-employed. And with that, they're going to be able to lift themselves out of this cycle of poverty that is there in Bududa, entrenched. So, what we're hearing from our students is they're so pleased that they're able to pay the school fees for their children, that they're able to help their brother pay school fees. So it's huge. It's huge for these kids to be able to get jobs or make jobs, be self-employed. Yeah. Well, obviously, we wouldn't be anywhere. We couldn't, none of this would have happened without our supporters, donors. I mean, the donors are what make it happen. So we can't, we wouldn't be doing anything without the donors. It's the donors that have made this, that have contributed. It doesn't matter if it's $25 or 100 or 500. It all helps. It's huge. And it is so enheartening for me and for everybody in Bududa to have this support. It's stunning. And the more I can get people to come and see what they've done, the better off we are. So yeah, the donors make it. That's how we do it. And we need all the donors we can get, and the more the better. And it's terrific. For a few years now, I've had a wonderful young man who is a Canadian, who's offered to give us money for a match. And this year and last year it was $50,000. So if you give money to us right now, it will be matched up to $50,000. And we're absolutely thrilled. And we're getting there. I mean, we started on Giving Tuesday and we're getting there. So so keep on giving. Thank you.